What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Kosher Nostra back at you guys with that sneaker review unboxing and on feet, guys. A new silhouette for you guys, and it's a Kyrie. So I gotta say, honestly, this is about as geeked as I get when it comes to sneaker reviews for the whole year. It's like Christmas for the Kosher Nostra. Fam, let's get right into it. There is the box. First and foremost, first time we're really seeing this box. The entire box itself is sort of this bluish purple, kind of a dark plum color, I guess more blue than anything else. And then guys, all across the box, you've got Kyrie, Nike, 6, all these different things written in this sort of pixelated font and in all these different colors. I think it's really, really dope. Guys, everything about this shoe really appeals to me right from jump, right from this box. The Nike Kyrie 6 Preheat, the colorway is blue gaze / multicolor. This is, of course, the Miami colorway, guys, in a size 11. Let's check out this pair, fam. All right, guys, there they are in hand. The Nike Kyrie 6, 1/11th or really 1/12th of the Preheat collection that dropped. Fam, this is the Miami colorway. Before we go any further, I'd like to shout out my boy Retro Boomin' 6. Check him out on IG. He was the dude who really did the due diligence and picked these things up in Miami, so shouts out to him for the assist on these. This colorway is insane, a really, really dope colorway to get as my sort of initial colorway and introduction to the Kyrie 6. In hand, on foot, this colorway is crazy. Before we really go ham and start talking about the colorway, let's get into some of the design, influences, the shape, the specs of the actual shoe itself. Pretty standard by now. We've got this sort of textile upper on the Kyrie itself. You see it on this colorway dominating the toe portion of the sneaker. As I said, pretty much standard for a Kyrie. Then as you look at the outsole and the midsole of the sneaker, you've got a lot of similar standard elements to the sneaker itself. You have that really, really exaggerated outsole where really the grip of the outsole is really curving up onto portions of the midsole, especially guys on that medial portion, as we've really seen from jump with the Kyrie line. And again, that's because Kyrie's bending that shoe so much and pushing off, you know, to make those lateral pushes, to make cuts and stuff like that. As we know, Kyrie's game, his dribbling, his ball handling, he's one of the shiftiest players in the game. Definitely his ball skills are insane. The outsole itself, they haven't really strayed a whole ton, I feel like, from what they were doing with the Kyrie 5, with the Kyrie 4. While I personally really dug a lot of the lines on the Kyrie 4 outsole and really how it made the outsole a palette for them to really design on with all these colorways. Back with the 4, I mean, the outsole honestly was a lot of times one of the dopest features of the actual colorways itself. With the 5s, it was a lot more toned down, and I think it was really just because how they had the eyes or whatever on the actual outsole itself, how there were so many of them that sort of dominated that outsole. It really, in my opinion, limited a lot of how they were color blocking that outsole and what they did. And what we tended to see was really either just a solid one color outsole, or the outer portions of the outsole were one color while the eyes were one color, or while the eyes were multiple colors. That was pretty much what we saw for all those. I feel like with the 6, they've kind of gone back towards the direction of the 4. You've got a lot more color blocking to play with. As you can see, they really went ham on all these Preheat colorways. You sort of have this camo color vibing going on that dominates a lot of the actual shoe itself, which I think is really cool. Again, me personally, I'm always a sucker for vibrant, multicolored shoes. It's just something that always really grips me. The actual lacing system of the shoe reminds me a lot more of a PG than it does really some of the past Kyries. And I think the reason that I say that is because you've got these actual portions of the sneaker that you're supposed to lace the shoe through, as opposed to just lacing through fly wire or whatever it is, and then some more traditional holes as you work your way up the actual lacing system of the shoe. But the way I interpret them trying to do that, they're trying to hide a lot of that lacing system from the actual Velcro of the tongue itself, so the tongue doesn't kind of grab all those laces and just fray the crap out of those laces over time. To me, it makes sense. It kind of limits you a little bit in terms of some of the lacing options of the shoe, but that's part of the silhouette. That's part of what makes this shoe so unique. And again, guys, the actual strap that's going to be on that sort of mid-foot portion of the sneaker. After the first real 2 lace holes, that's when the strap really comes into play. One thing that I think that's really unique about this strap is, one, I will say, is the curvature of the strap itself. You can definitely see how this strap is sort of derived from the Kyrie 2 or even the Kyrie Low 1, and how you can even sort of get away with wearing the strap loosely and not actually velcroing the strap over the laces themselves. I kind of foresee myself trying to wear the shoe like that going forward and seeing if I can manage that without the strap grabbing those laces and them just fraying the laces really bad over time. Because guys, while I do wear my shoes, I do take a lot of pride in trying to keep good care of my shoes. The Velcro on the strap is pretty interesting. The actual rubber strap itself, there's a pretty solid chunk of that last portion of the strap that actually features the hard portion of the Velcro, and then on the actual lateral portion of the shoe, there is a large chunk of the shoe that does feature the Velcro to be strapped onto, which honestly, in my opinion, doesn't really detract a whole ton from the look of the shoe. One thing I also think is unique is they actually hit you with a little bit of that Velcro material right on that upper lace hole, which I think is kind of interesting. So they are kind of giving you the option of where exactly and how high you want to pull that lace strap, but then fraying the laces is coming into play a little bit more. The actual shape of the tongue, again, another thing that sort of reminds me a little bit more of a PG shoe, and what you can see how this thing is sort of derived from some of the earlier Kyries, especially this sort of shield shape portion of material that actually features that Kyrie Irving logo on the tongue. That definitely reminds me of past Kyries. You can definitely see the shape of that if you go back and look at honestly all of the Kyries going back to the one. The actual back portion of the sneaker, especially when you're looking at that sneaker from dead on and you're looking directly at the tongue, that back portion of the sneaker honestly really reminds me of sort of like a cape, like some of the old school superhero capes, and how they sort of had that portion that would come up around the neck a little bit. And it definitely, guys, reminds me a lot of the shape of the Kyrie 1. But then guys, when you look at the shape of this shoe in general, especially from that lateral view of the shoe itself, and then especially on some of the more traditional kind of plainer colorways like that black and white colorway that's scheduled to drop November 22nd in pretty much every store out there, everybody's gonna get those things. That colorway, you can definitely see how that colorway was inspired by the Nike Yeezy, which they flat out have admitted that they took that into consideration. There were other shapes and other shoes that they also kind of took into consideration and were inspired by, such as the Air Jordan 2. But honestly, to me, when you take a side-by-side picture of this shoe and the Nike Yeezy 2, you can definitely see a lot of the influences there. That back portion of the shoe, which of course on this portion of the shoe features that giant lenticular sort of colored patterned eye drawing portion of the shoe, holographic portion of the shoe. On some of the colorways, such as again that black and white colorway, you actually have some really soft leather hits on that. So in my opinion, ballin' in some of those shoes is really gonna feel good on your ankle and stuff like that. And speaking of course of ankle, which is one thing everybody's always worried about when they're playing in a basketball shoe, a lot of these shoes nowadays have really gone in the direction of low tops. Shouts out to Kobe Bryant and the Kobe 4s and all of the rest of the Nike Kobe line from that point on. And guys, nowadays when you're going to pick up a Nike basketball shoe off the shelves, almost everything is sort of a low topped shaped shoe. Maybe you could make the argument that some of them are kind of a mid shaped shoe, but guys, everything has really gone in the direction of being a much more lower cut shoe. This aesthetically, it just appears to be a higher cut shoe, but again, that material on the upper, it's a lot of just padding. It feels good on the actual ankle portions of your foot. As you turn to the back booty portion, you see this really exaggerated sort of rubber triangular piece. It definitely features that Hamsa tattoo that is featured on Kyrie's I want to say hand, which everybody argues, of course, the all-seeing eye. Interpret that however you want. But guys, that really feels good on your heel. Really feels like it locks your heel into place. With the Kyrie 5, the number one gripe about the Kyrie 5 is how difficult it was to not only get on your feet, but for some people, guys, it really wasn't even an option from jump. People with wide feet, people with wider ankles, you're not getting that shoe on your feet almost no matter what you do. And if you do, after all that work, I can't possibly foresee how that shoe is going to be comfortable to wear or to ball in over any length of time. So to me, it was just a huge drawback for the Kyrie 5. And while I really appreciated what they were doing with the fly trap and how they integrated it into the fly wire and stuff like that, I definitely dig the fact that this Kyrie 6 is so much more of a traditional unlace, unstrap, stick your foot in that shoe, lace that bad boy up, strap it up, and you're good to go, man. I definitely appreciate, as I think a lot of people, especially parents, will, just a more traditional process of getting the shoe on, a more traditional fit to the shoe. One of the main gripes that they were really hearing with the Kyrie 5 was that the actual foam underfoot was really quite stiff and that it took a lot of time to break in. So guys, they tried to incorporate a softer foam in conjunction, guys, with the return of that Nike Zoom turbo bag, which in my opinion is one of the best feeling Zoom airbags, especially under the forefront portion of your foot. It just feels really good. As this shoe, in my opinion, on a whole, it feels really good once you lace this thing up, once you slide your foot in. I will say it's somewhat snug in that upper toe box area, in my opinion, and as anybody who's really been buying and rocking with any of the Kyries, guys, size up a half size. I would not recommend just ordering a shoe like this blindly unless you've worn other Kyries or potentially other Kobe's. I would get out there, guys, and try one of these things on. You have, again, that all-seeing eye or that Hamsa logo on the actual strap of the shoe itself. It's kind of raised and, again, gives off that sort of pixelated vibe. That, of course, is that blue color. You've got that orange splatter print all across that, which I think is really a dope feature. I am always a sucker for when they splatter anything, which generally is going to be the midsole, but on this colorway, on this sneaker, they did it on the actual strap. Really cool. I think it's cool how on those first two lace holes, they hit you with some alternating neon colors. You got the neon yellow or neon green and then the neon orange, and they sort of flip-flop right there. Those same colors make an appearance on that actual tongue for the Kyrie logo. The back portion of the tongue and the inner sock liner and the insole are all going to be yellow, which again I think makes everything kind of pop. The insole itself again has the Hamsa logo, and then it says in really small print Kyrie 6, Kyrie 6, Kyrie 6. I feel like once again, guys, that's printed on the insole, so if you wear these things and you're balling or you're sweating, you lace these things up, wear them for 10 hours, it's pretty much going to all strip off and be stuck to the bottom of your sock or smeared all over the insole. On the medial portion of each sneaker, on the strap, one strap says Miami, and then the other strap features what appears to be a spray paint can, which I think is what the influence for the back lenticular portion of the sneaker is. When you actually look at it, it looks like spray paint cans that are upside down. It's really hard to sort of see and interpret and just to hold it at that perfect angle where you can see everything. Depending on how you hold it, there's also these eyes that appear right above it, which, guys, the idea behind that was supposed to be the 11 cities that were chosen. They've all had a really big influence on Kyrie's upbringing and his lifestyle and his beliefs and things like that. And when you're looking at the lenticular portion, the reason they threw the eyes on top of that is because you're supposed to be looking at some of the influences and what the cities mean to Kyrie, whether it's a monument, something that has to do with nature, or just something artistic, which of course are all things that are very big to Kyrie as a person, to his beliefs, to his mantra or whatever. And again, while it's sort of difficult to see, it's just crazy how they did that. I feel like if you were balling in a version of this shoe with the lenticular portions on it, it's gonna be a little bit less forgiving than, say, colorways like that black and white colorway that have the actual kind of plush leather, and how that's gonna kind of fold underfoot or whatever when you're, say, jumping or coming down. But guys, maybe stay tuned to like a performance review going forward. Maybe I might try to bang one of those out. I've never really done one of those, so hit me in the comments if you want to see me try to do my version of a performance review on a Kyrie Kyrie 6. Got a couple other things like engineered to the exact specifications of Kyrie Irving, again, which makes a little pop-up very, very minutely on the midsole. You have an astrological sign right here also on the midsole. Right below it on the outsole, as in a portion where it encroaches up there, it says Elizabeth. It says 8/13/67, which of course is a shout out to Kyrie's mom. I assume her birth date. Once again, the words humble and hungry appear on the sneaker itself, which are things that Kyrie stresses. Stuff like that really honestly speaks a lot to me, because I feel like that's kind of the type of person that I am. I try to be humble and just a nice guy in general, but I also try to be hungry in terms of my work ethic. They chose to hit you with some neon orange on the swooshes on that back lenticular portion on both the medial and lateral portions. I think that's really cool and that really pops. All in all, guys, my first impressions getting these right out of the box, I love this sneaker. I think it really appeals to me, not only the colorway, the aesthetics, the messages, stuff like that of the sneaker itself, but just the fit, the silhouette, the fact that it's got Kyrie Irving's name on it, and the fact that I pretty much go ham on Kyrie's signature stuff, guys. I really, really love this silhouette, this colorway. It really honestly makes a strong contender, in my opinion, for best Kyrie yet. Guys, what do you think? Y'all know what time it is, man. I appreciate you guys checking me out and hopefully listening to a lot of what I had to say during the duration of this long video. Let's check these things out on feet, guys. Comment, like, subscribe. Y'all know what to do. My name is Coach Nostra. Much love for checking in and checking out my review. Stay blessed, everybody. Peace.